The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon on a crisp Halloween evening. The air was filled with the faint scent of autumn leaves and the collective excitement of people preparing for a night of festivities. Inside the bustling environment of a Costco parking lot, the atmosphere was a mixture of holiday rush and the typical end-of-the-week congestion. Among the sea of vehicles were two individuals whose lives were about to intersect in a most unfortunate manner, leading them eventually to the solemn halls of Justice Judy. Christopher Stewart sat behind the wheel of his high-performance electric vehicle. It was a Tesla Model S, a machine of precision and modern engineering. On this particular day, at approximately 5:30 in the evening, he found himself waiting to exit the parking lot. The process was slow, as it often is when hundreds of shoppers are all trying to navigate the same narrow lanes at once. Christopher was a man who valued efficiency, and the slow pace of the traffic was beginning to test his patience. In another vehicle nearby was Derek DeWitt and his girlfriend. They were in her brand-new car, a prideful possession that still carried the scent of the dealership. They were not just running errands. They were preparing for a Halloween party, a night they had been looking forward to. However, as they sat in the turn lane just outside the parking lot exit, a small but significant oversight occurred. They needed to input an address into the navigation system of their new car. In this modern age, safety features often dictate that such tasks can only be performed when the vehicle is in park. And so, they shifted the gear to park while sitting at a red light, inadvertently creating a barrier for those behind them. The light turned green, but the car in front of Christopher did not move. Derek and his girlfriend were focused on the screen, searching for the location of their evening celebration. Christopher, feeling the pressure of the cars behind him and the ticking of the clock, pressed his horn. It was a signal of frustration, a common language used by motorists everywhere. Derek, realizing the light had changed, waved a hand in acknowledgement, but the delay had already sparked a flame of resentment in the heart of the driver behind him. What followed was a sequence of events that transformed a simple misunderstanding into a legal dispute. Christopher, in a moment of poor judgment fueled by the perceived punishment from the driver in front, began to inch his Tesla forward. His car, equipped with numerous sensors that emit rhythmic beeping sounds as objects get closer, warned him of the impending contact. Despite the warnings, Christopher continued to move until the front of his car tapped the rear bumper of the new car in front of him. It was not a high-speed collision, but it was a deliberate act of aggression. The impact, though slight, was enough to cause both Derek and his girlfriend to exit their vehicle. They were shocked and concerned about their new car. Derek, wanting to document the situation, approached Christopher. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Christopher, feeling a sense of intimidation as he saw the two individuals approaching, rolled up his window. He felt a deep sense of unease, a fight-or-flight response that clouded his better judgment. He decided to reverse his car, hoping to escape the confrontation, and return to the safety of the parking lot. As Christopher maneuvered his Tesla in reverse, Derek stood his ground, tried to ensure that the person who had just hit their car did not simply drive away. He had his phone in his hand, attempting to capture a photograph of the license plate. According to Christopher, Derek was searching his pockets for something and staring him down with an intense gaze. In the heat of the moment, perceptions were warped by adrenaline and fear. Christopher managed to make a U-turn, a maneuver that put him back in the path of Derek. As he drove past, a loud sound echoed to the cabin of the Tesla. A ping, followed by the terrifying sound of glass shattering. The driver's side window of the Tesla was suddenly a web of cracks, a spider web of translucent shards that obscured the world outside. Christopher, now in a state of full flight mode, did not stop. He drove away, focused only on reaching his destination and picking up his child from daycare. Back at the scene, Derek and his girlfriend were left in the middle of the street. Derek's hand was injured, a pain that he would later claim was a result of being struck by the side mirror of the Tesla as it swerved toward him. They called the police, reporting a hit-and-run incident. When the officers arrived, they took a statement and viewed the video evidence captured by the girlfriend's phone and the Tesla's own dash camera system. The legal journey brought them both before Judge Judy. The courtroom was a place of order and hard truths. Christopher Stewart was suing Derek DeWitt for $10,000, a sum intended to cover the cost of the broken window and the emotional distress he claimed to have suffered. Derek, on the other hand, stood firm in his belief that he was the victim of a reckless driver who had tried to injure him. Judge Judy, with her years of experience and sharp intellect, began to peel back the layers of the story. She looked at the police report, which indicated that the authorities had found evidence of felony vandalism regarding the broken window. She listened to Christopher's testimony about feeling unsafe and his decision to ignore the police's initial request for him to return to the scene. She found his claim of emotional distress to be unfounded, noting that his own actions had contributed significantly to the situation. Then, she turned her attention to Derek. She questioned why he and his girlfriend had chosen to input an address into their navigation system while sitting in a traffic lane instead of doing so in the parking lot. She spoke about the importance of being a good citizen and the necessity of considering others. "Your poor planning is not my problem," she remarked, echoing a sentiment that resonated with the core values of responsibility and respect for fellow human beings. The judge reviewed the video footage. The images showed Derek crossing the median as Christopher performed his U-turn. While Derek claimed the car had swerved to hit him, the judge saw a different story. She saw Derek throwing something at the car as it passed by. She concluded that the injury to Derek's hand was likely caused when he struck the window of the Tesla, rather than the car striking him. The insurance company had reached a similar conclusion, denying Derek's claim for bodily injury because the evidence suggested he had punched the window. In the end, the law provided a resolution, but the moral lessons were for everyone to hear. Judge Judy ruled that Derek DeWitt must pay Christopher Stewart for the actual cost of the window, which was $617.86. She dismissed the claims for emotional distress and the inflated $10,000 demand. The case served as a poignant reminder of how a lack of patience and a failure to plan can escalate into a conflict that benefits no one. It was a story about two people who, in a moment of stress, forgot the basic tenets of kindness and civility. Christopher had used his car as a tool of frustration, and Derek had responded with an act of destruction. As the court adjourned, the participants left with a clearer understanding of their responsibilities to one another. The judge's words remained in the air, a call for better planning, more respect, and a realization that our actions always have consequences. The holiday of Halloween had passed, but the lessons learned on that street corner near Costco would stay with them for a long time. It was a reminder that in the grand theater of life, being a good neighbor and a responsible citizen is the most important role any of us can play. The story of the broken window was not just about the glass or the money. It was about the fragile nature of human interaction in an increasingly busy world. It taught that a few minutes of patience in a parking lot is always better than hours spent in a courtroom. It encouraged the audience to look beyond their own immediate needs and to consider the impact of their choices on the people around them. Through the clarity of the law and the wisdom of experience, justice was served, and a path toward more mindful living was illuminated for all who listened.